Let's talk about the strikes, should we? Former Levelling Up Secretary Simon Clarke, your predecessor, criticised nurses for not budgeting their finances properly if they need to use feed banks. Gillian Keegan saying nurses only turn to food banks when a relationship or a boiler has broken down. Do you agree with your cabinet colleagues that nurses are excellent at saving lives but hopeless with their finances?
No, I would never put it that way. I think we appreciate that nurses, everyone who's working on the front line in the National Health Service, is not only doing an amazing job, and my thanks and gratitude to nurses today is something I want to express very deeply and personally. I also think that when we're looking at the pay claims that are being made by people within the National Health Service and also people in other parts of the public sector, we have to balance making sure that we do everything we can to reward them for their hard work with recognising that we also have to be careful stewards of public money overall. And what we can't do is necessarily accede to every demand in the public sector for pay increases, because we don't want to be in a position where the public finances overall are out of control.
Yeah, so your colleagues are wrong to criticise the way nurses manage their money?
I would never criticise nurses for something like that. I think the most important thing to do is to recognise that people who are working in the NHS are people who've dedicated their lives to a caring profession. They're doing everything they can to support us. I know myself, in recent weeks, having seen the NHS close, up front and personal, the dedicated care that nurses and others who work in the National Health Service give. And of course, we want to do everything possible in order to make sure that people are paid well and in accordance with their skills and respecting their commitment. But we also have to balance that against the need, as I say, to make sure that public funds are spent wisely.
I hope that you're fully recovered from having to use the National Health Service previously and that your health has recovered. Thank you for sharing that with us. What about this coordinated strike action with nurses, ambulance workers and emergency call handlers on the 6th of February? How responsible is it of those workers to all strike on the same day?
Well, naturally, we would prefer there not to be any strikes at all, and we prefer there not to be coordinated strike action of this kind. I'd just say two things. The first is that I'm conscious that ambulance workers, nurses and others, when they do go on strike action, and I don't approve of it, I have to say, but they do take steps in order to ensure that they can look after the most urgent emergency cases. The second thing that I would say is that we are introducing legislation to make sure that there is a minimum service level that should provide people with peace of mind, that there will always be an NHS there for them, and indeed other blue light services that they need. It's just unfortunate that other parties in the House of Commons, Labour and the Liberal Democrats, won't support that legislation in order to make sure that there will be a minimum level of service for everyone.
You're in Blackpool today, £40 million for a new carbon-neutral multiversity in Blackpool, and people can't afford to put their heating on in Blackpool. Are you going at it the wrong way?
No, this is, I think, the fourth time I've been in Blackpool this year, and the reason I'm here is that we want to level up the whole country. We want to make sure that in areas like Blackpool that have been overlooked and undervalued in the past, there's an investment in the future. So earlier this year, we invested £30 million in helping to regenerate the very heart of Blackpool, to bring new jobs and investment here. And today, we're announcing £40 million for a new higher education campus here, a multiversity, which will ensure that young people in Blackpool get the sorts of opportunities that young people in the rest of the country have had. If we're going to make sure that people get the sort of high-earning jobs, which will guarantee their and their families' future, we need to invest now in education, and nowhere is more important than here in the North West.
Yeah, you say that, but while running for Prime Minister in the summer, a video emerged of the now Prime Minister admitting he took money from deprived areas to give it to other parts of the country. Rather flies in the face of what you've just said.
Well, the proof, actually, is what the Prime Minister is doing and what we're doing today. That's more than £2 billion being spent on more than 100 projects across the United Kingdom. And the areas that are benefiting, places like Blackpool and Morecambe and Cleethorpes and Wigan, these are areas which have been overlooked in the past by previous governments, but this government is absolutely committed to levelling up, to spreading opportunity and to investing in the future and making sure that people have, whether it's investment in higher education here or investment in economic activity elsewhere, the opportunity to prosper in the future.
Yeah, you were remiss not to mention Richmond in that list as well, I would suggest. Of course, the constituency of the Prime Minister, they're receiving £19 million as part of this handing out of cash, our cash. It's been described as the posh part of Yorkshire, the Surrey of the North, and income deprivation down to 22% as opposed to Blackpool, where it's 61%.
Well, we are giving money to Catterick, but that money is going to the biggest army infantry base in the country. Again, over recent weeks, I've had an opportunity to talk to service families about their accommodation. I don't think anyone would deny that investing money in making sure that our service families have absolutely the best circumstances to support them, I don't think anyone would deny that is a good use of money. And if people want to say that service families and that the Catterick garrison doesn't deserve cash, then let them.
OK, I'm sure they will. Let me ask you about Wigan. You talked about Wigan, which of course is where your opposite number resides, representing the good people of Wigan. The leader of the council, 20 million quid or thereabouts for Hay Hall, where I got married actually. The council say, although we are relieved to have received confirmation of the funding for Hay Hall, our concerns about the levelling up fund system remain, and we would continue to urge the government to find a more appropriate way to deliver the investment local areas like ours deserve.
Well, again, you can't always necessarily expect gratitude in politics, but I do think it is a good thing that we're contributing millions of pounds to Wigan. The investment in Hay Hall is an investment that the council itself argued for. And again, the inference was from the previous question that some, not UK, but some, would be criticising the money that's going to Catterick to help army families. This is money that is going to the constituency, as you quite rightly point out, of my opposite number, Labour MP Lisa Nandy. So we have objective criteria that govern where money is going. We look at the strategic fit, the deliverability, the economic benefits, and heritage matters as well. So that investment in Hay Hall is an investment in Wigan's future.
OK, but the announcement leaves out a lot of the more deprived areas in the UK, disproportionately benefiting Conservative areas, I'm told. Of the 80 successful bids, only half are in the 100 most deprived areas of the country.
Well, there are areas of deprivation across the whole United Kingdom. I think it is the case, actually, that more Labour local authorities than Conservative local authorities receive money. But it will be news to people in Cleethorpes or in Workington who are receiving money today that they're not areas of high need, areas that have been undervalued in the past.
Good to talk to you as always. Thanks for taking the time to join us in God's own country this morning. Thank you.